Hi there, Heather Ferber of Langlois Vital Nutrition Center in Brookfield, Wisconsin. A very special thank you to those of you who have been turning out for my June and July hormone talks. I appreciate your presence, and we have one more talk coming up on Wednesday, July 26th at noon. And the topic for that talk is the ultimate green smoothie to support hormone health. So please come out. It'll be about 30 minutes, and we will sample the delicious hormone supporting creation that we make. Okay, my first talk that I did back in June was Healthy Hormones, Happy Life. And I covered 4 big hormones that I see come up as frequent challenges when I'm working with women who are desiring better hormone balance. Those 4 hormones were cortisol, insulin, thyroid, and estrogen. So I'm going to do a brief 4-part series on each of those. And today we are actually going to start with cortisol. So cortisol is our most important adrenal hormone in terms of helping our body adapt to stress. It is our amazing ally, and sometimes it gets a bad rap because it's not working in the patterns that we want it to be working, okay? So cortisol helps us regulate blood sugar, it helps us regulate our metabolism, it helps us control body fat, it works to protect us from infections. It has a lot of responsibilities in our body. And what we want to see is a nice little pattern. When we wake up in the morning, we want to see a nice bump in cortisol, usually within 2 hours of waking, and then we want to see a nice tail off throughout the rest of the day. We don't want to see patterns that look like mini mountains throughout the day, and we definitely don't want to see a pattern that shows a flat line in the morning and then a peak at night. That is problematic. So for those of you who have been coming to my programs, you've been doing this hormone assessment. And on this hormone assessment, we have a category that does pertain to cortisol. And we talk about both symptoms of low cortisol and high cortisol because you can be experiencing both even on the same day. So let's talk a little bit about what high cortisol looks like. If you're under tremendous stress, like if your body always thinks you're being chased by that bear in the woods, there is going to be some type of adrenal response. And if your cortisol is too high, you may be waking up in the middle of the night. You may have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep. Perhaps you're craving sugar, or maybe you get headaches at a regular basis. You may be gaining weight. You may be having GI issues. You could be experiencing brain fog or skin issues. And another couple big symptoms of high cortisol are irritability and anxiety. Okay, so a lot of those symptoms appeared on this hormone survey. Those all pertain to high cortisol. You could also, on any given day, be experiencing low cortisol on the same day. In situations where you have low cortisol, most individuals are really fatigued and tired. They're depressed. They may be having hair loss. They may be experiencing autoimmune conditions or frequent illness, like you may catch a cold oftentimes. You may have difficulty recovering from stressful workouts. That's another sign of low cortisol. And another big one is craving salt or experiencing low blood sugar or nausea and diarrhea. So if your adrenals can't produce that cortisol in proper amounts, then we call it something called adrenal dysfunction. And there are actually 3 stages of adrenal dysfunction. Stage 1 is where you have the high cortisol. Stage 2 is the roller coaster effect, where you're experiencing both high and low cortisol simultaneously. And stage 3 is where you get to the point where your adrenals can no longer keep up with the demand for cortisol, and it does drop off. You don't produce 0 cortisol. That would result in a serious sickness called Addison's disease. But you do produce some. It's just not in the quantities or in the proper pattern that your body desires. So what are some of my best tips that I talked about for helping to adjust and balance cortisol? Number 1 is quitting caffeine. It doesn't mean you need to do it forever, but if you are suffering from interrupted sleep or extreme fatigue, it's not good to depend on caffeine for sleep patterns or energy assistance, okay? I also recommend balancing blood sugars first thing in the morning. Combine your healthy fats with quality protein to start your day off with solid blood sugars. And then the third thing I recommend to helping your cortisol is improving your gut health. You are only as healthy as your gut and what you consume and what you can digest and what you can absorb. So it is really important to have excellent GI health if you want to work on balancing your adrenals. Okay, stay tuned for part 2. Part 2, we will talk about insulin, and I look forward to seeing you all in the office soon. Have a great day.